Boom, 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 chickadee chanker. How's it going, everybody? Thanks for joining me tonight. Sunday evening. Hope you've been having a great weekend. Cheeky little preview here for the Chelsea versus Manchester United game taking place tomorrow night in the Premier League. Come on, United! Got to win this game. This is just a ridiculously important game, to be fair. This is make or break for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We're going to get into it. We're going to get in the ins and outs of it all throughout this video. Thank you very much for joining me tonight on the channel. All of you out there waiting patiently, thanks for being here with me. Stephen Hayes, Michael Collins, Stephen Zevon, Matt Rush, Peter Lyon, JP, Spike Blighty, The Saint, Illy United, Cristiano Daniel, everybody else, Gung Shi in the house. Thank you so much for stopping by and getting involved with the video tonight. Bunch of bloody legends. If you are tuning in right now, please do us a favour and smash a cheeky little like on this video and give it a share on social media if you can. So where to start then, lads and lasses, coming up against, we can't really call him Fat Frank these days, to be fair. I mean, he used to have that sort of young puppy fat on the go. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I could never call him that anyway, but he used to have that young sort of, that jowly nature as a young man, but he's sort of leaned up now. He's leaned up. Do you know what I mean? You have to sort of call him Chiseled Frank now, which is a bit of a shame. But either way, we're coming up against Fat Frank's Chelsea after dropping them 4-0 first game of the season. And we actually beat them in the Cup as well. We've done pretty well against Chelsea. I think that was at the Bridge too. So in terms of being a bogey side for Chelsea this season, I think maybe Man United could be that team. Am I feeling overly confident going into this game? No, I am not, because United's form has been pretty piss poor recently. Look where we are down in the league, lads and lasses. Let me just start it off by saying this. It's a bloody disgrace. We're 41 points behind Liverpool right now. When has it ever been okay to be 41 points behind anybody, let alone Liverpool, for Manchester United? So it is obviously a travesty of times for United right now. It's a real struggle. It's not like there's light at the end of the tunnel, or we can see the horizon and it's going to be turning around anytime soon. It's a slow process. The Scousers are miles ahead. It's great that City have been banned from Europe for 2 seasons, but they're still going to be further ahead than us next season, probably. It's difficult for United right now. Hopefully they lose some of their players and they get banned and they get, a Premier League points deduction, or even better, sent down to the bloody Championship or something. That would make my year. That really, really would. But we can't hope for that. United have got to get back on track with this game against Chelsea. The fact is, this is pretty much Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's last hope for me in terms of winning over any sort of the fan base of Manchester United, or maybe convincing the owners that he is still the right man for the job. Because the way I look at it, and I'm all pro Solskjaer and pro building for the future, and I'm quite happy with the youth development that's taken place since Solskjaer's been in, and I'm really happy with his signings, the signings that he's made, and also trying to get some of the deadwood out the club. I think that the club has actually been a little bit better run in terms of transfers, ins and outs, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's come in. What I mean by that is we've tightened up the expenditure a little bit on wages. People like Sanchez, get him off the books for a while, get Lukaku. Some of the players we've let go for good reason. We didn't replace those players, that's another issue. But I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the youth development. I'm happy with some of the stuff that he's been doing in certain fixtures, like he has done the double over Pep this season. We did beat Spurs. There's big fixtures that he's performed in with this United side. And when you consider this United side is not as good as City, we took points off Liverpool. It's nothing to celebrate, is it? But we're the only side to do that this season, And when he's shown some sort of tactical acumen and abilities in certain big key games, when you consider our team is inferior to those guys' teams, then I think you have to give him some credit for how he's got those performances and those results in those games. It's against the absolute drab shite teams that we really seem to struggle against. I wouldn't be surprised if we set up with the old 5-3-2 or the 3-5-2 or whatever you want to call it for the game against Chelsea tomorrow, away, counter-attacking at the Bridge. It could benefit us. Obviously, still no Rashford. Let's see what's going to happen at the top of the pitch there. Is Ighalo going to start and play his first game? These are all things that we need to talk about. But look, the fact is, Solskjaer's got to win this game. The way I see it, being in 9th place, way too far off top 4. It kills our Champions League hopes. A loss against Chelsea, even a draw away at Stamford Bridge right now would be an absolute kick in the bollocks, because it wouldn't progress us any further up the league. It wouldn't keep us in pace with some of the teams that are above us challenging for those top 5 spaces now it is. But like Tottenham won today, Son Heung-min, you heartbreaker, popping up at the end there to break Villa hearts, to break United hearts, to break everyone else's hearts, because Spurs won the game 3-2. Jose Mourinho showing all the emotion of a freaking vegetable out there. But fair play to him, you know, he's a tactician, he's got the job done. His team won at the end there. Tottenham have climbed back up the table again in no time with Jose at the helm after a bit of a rocky start. Oh, it's piss poor. But they're 5th in the league, and United need to keep pace. We've got to beat Chelsea. And Chelsea, obviously, if we beat them, it's like a 6-pointer in terms of top 4 or top 5, whatever you want to call it, because Chelsea obviously trying to fight for those spaces too. That's it. The fact is, the fans will absolutely crucify Ole Gunnar Solskjaer if he doesn't get the victory tomorrow with United away at Stamford Bridge. Ridiculously tough game. In terms of form, I think Chelsea are in a little bit better form than Manchester United. United are looking poor. This year, the start to 2020 has been very subpar, in my opinion. So we've got a lot of work to do. We have got new signings in there, which I'm hoping are going to bring a breath of fresh air within the squad. We've had this winter break, which I think would probably benefit United more so than any other club at the moment, just simply because we have had injury problems. We have had a couple of new players coming in, and we've had a little bit of time to sort of bed them in a little bit, maybe work with them, get them used to the roles that they're going to be playing for United out there. That's it. You know, United have got to win this game. Bruno Fernandes has got to perform. Hopefully we're going to see a really positive performance from Bruno tomorrow. If Ighalo's playing up top there, it gives us something different. He's a bit of an unknown entity. He's obviously not played in the Premier League for a good few years. Chelsea may not know how we're going to play with him, how we're going to play to his strengths, that sort of thing. So that does give us a bit of a boost, I think, the fact that we have got those two players that could start and could influence the game against Chelsea tomorrow. That's what's going to have to happen. Anthony Martial's been out of form recently, looked very gun-shy in front of goal. I'd be pretty, content with just seeing him not even start the game, as ridiculous as it sounds. Or if maybe we are going to be playing like a 4-2-3-1, have him out in a wide left position, supporting the likes of Ighalo up there. And I think Greenwood's got to play in this game too. So I would love to see what we can do in this game against Chelsea tomorrow, but obviously I'm not feeling too positive going into it, lads and lasses. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments section if you think we've got a chance. Just to give you my prediction at the start, and we'll get into some of the other points I just talked about in a moment. I think we're going to win the game 1-0. After saying all that and being pessimistic, I think we're going to win 1-0. I think Bruno Fernandes is going to pop up with a cheeky free kick, plucked out the very top drawer, and break Chelsea hearts. We battered them 4-0 earlier on in the season. We beat them in the cup, 2-1 I think it was. Maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's just got the number of Frank Lampard at the moment. And what you have to remember as well is United have strengthened in the summer. United have strengthened in January. What Lampard's had to do, and he's done a very good job of it, to be fair, is bring certain players through. You've seen this sort of the prominence or the explosion of players like Pulisic, players like Tammy Abraham coming on the scene for Chelsea this season, Mason Mount, players that Frank Lampard has personally sort of brought through and dealt with and developed, and they're doing very, very well. Now, I think Pulisic is actually injured for the game, and I also think Tammy Abraham is having some sort of a last-minute check to see if he's possible to feature. So if they're losing their players there, then that is obviously a massive plus for United. United have still got significant injury problems. Scott McTominay's still out, still a massive loss for us. Of course, Pogba's still out injured. He's not going to be featuring. Rashford, that's the biggest loss for us this season, in my opinion, because he has been the focal point for us up top there, being the goal scorer in the side. 14 league goals from Rashford. Huge loss for us in this game. One of our best players this season by a country mile. So that is a massive loss. We've got injury problems. They've got injury problems. We can't use injuries as an excuse. United are going to have to make the most of what we've got. And in the midfield at the moment, if you look at the players we've got, Matic is back into it. To be fair, Matic, from the players we've got right now, I think he definitely deserves to be starting, coming up against this old team, because he has looked really good recently. He's looked solid as a rock. He's ticked things over there. I've criticised him heavily in the past for some of his performances, and some of them have been absolutely gash. But you have to say, recently, he's been a little bit of a general in that midfield for us. And I think he's been performing very, very well. So he deserves to be starting in there in the midfield, in my opinion, for this game, considering the pool of talent we've got to choose from right now. Probably Fred's going to play alongside him, another player who's had an upturn in form recently. How are they going to do? And then in front of them, I would imagine it's going to be Bruno Fernandes, who's going to be the creator, who's going to be the spark, the catalyst to get things going up top there, which we're going to have to do probably on the counter-attack against this Chelsea team. They're going to be coming at us. We can hopefully rip them open. You saw we effectively did it at the start of the season. I know it's a different time, different fixture. Lamps has had a much longer to work with this team, and they've gone on, and they're in the top 4 spots, and they're doing good stuff. And they're a different team. But we did do that to them last time. We did have Pogba, who put in probably his best performance in a United shirt this season, who unlocked Chelsea a good couple of times in that game, and we don't have him. But we do have Bruno Fernandes, who's come in there, our £60-odd million signing, to try and get us that creative spark again in the centre of the park there. Hopefully it works. Plus we've added a bit of firepower up there in terms of Igalo. We've got Dan James, speedmonger out there who can play on the right. Martial out there on the left. I don't know what... that's the thing. In terms of formation and selection, I'm not really too sure what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's going to go for. Whether he's going to go for that sort of adapted 5-3-2 or the 3-5-2, whatever you want to call it, and play maybe like, you know, Wan-Bissaka and maybe Luke Shaw again at bloody left centre-back with Brandon Williams. You don't know. He could go down that route because we are lacking the Rashford at the moment on the left. Or, if he wants to go for it and play the 4-2-3-1, he could play Martial on the left and have, you know, Bruno Fernandes in behind, Igalo up top there with, say, Greenwood or James out on the right with Fred and Matic completing that midfield for United. And then the back four is obviously just going to be either Luke Shaw, Brandon Williams and Maguire, Lindelof, and then Aaron Wan-Bissaka over on the right with the Herring goal. So that's what I think could happen in terms of the team selection, but it really all does depend on if he's going to go for that 5 at the back or the 3 at the back, or if he's going to persevere with this 4-2-3-1. Anyway, we're going to go into your comment section now, lads and lasses, and see what you lads and lasses think about the game tomorrow. Please do get involved in the comments. Thanks for stopping by and joining me tonight. Smash a cheeky little like on this video, and please do subscribe if you're new to the channel. I will be doing a watch along, of course, for the game tomorrow night against Chelsea. So make sure you do tune in for the channel. For that one, we will be doing a live commentary and stuff like that. We've got a super chat here from the Rinconator. Thank you so much, Alex, for getting in here, my friend. He comments and he says, I would really like United to try and sign James Maddison or Jack Grealish in the summer. Top man, Alex. Yeah, I think we could definitely do with that. I mean, Bruno Fernandes is obviously a central midfielder, creative for us. I think James Maddison is a little bit too much of a similar player, but you can never have too many of those options. I agree, and we do need to have a creative spark to play alongside a defensive midfielder in the two-man midfield as well. So I fully hear you. Plus, he's a great player, isn't he, James Maddison? He's proven in the Premier League this year for Leicester. The creation from the land, it speaks for itself. His stats speak for itself. He's going to be a great player. Plus, he's got got age on the right side. He's improving. He's getting better. But the problem, I think, with James Maddison is just the fact that, look, he may want to come to United, but Leicester is probably a better opportunity for him at this moment in time to actually win things in terms of Champions League qualification. They're on course to get that in terms of the football and the team and the style and just the team that he's playing in. They're a better prospect at the moment than United for challenging and winning things. Now, United's a much bigger club than Leicester. We can pay them more money. It's a bigger platform. It's a really big opportunity for a player, and it's the opportunity to be a part of something special and the evolution of United and the improvement of United over the next few years, which will hopefully happen. But at the same time, it is a risk for a player. You've seen a lot of players come in like that. They're doing great at certain clubs. You know, his ex-teammate Harry Maguire is a decent example, but obviously it's early days for him. I'm sure he'll be great for us. But you can come into the club for big money and it just not work out because United is really struggling at the moment. And we seem just like a little bit of a cursed team. We're really, really struggling at the moment. So James Maddison plus Leicester, there's no real reason for them to sell him to us. We'd have to pay in excess of £100 million, which is a heck of a lot of money for this sort of, but it's an English midfielder who is looking like one of the best prospects and will be representing England and doing great things in the Premier League for the next decade. So you've got to pay for what you get. It may happen, but Jack Grealish, on the other hand, I think that definitely is a signing that could really happen. Because if you look at Villa may not even stay up this season. That they could do, but it's nowhere near the level of the club that Manchester United is. If it's not United that he'll be going to in the summer, I'm sure it'll be one of the top clubs in the league because everybody's looking at Jack Grealish, looking at what he does out there, the influence he has on games for Villa. He's been far and away, Villa's one of Villa's best players this season. doing all sorts of things for them. And he looked great in the game against us, which is, one of the most in-depth performances I've watched from him. He was the standout performer for me, which I just think we could do with a player like that. Somebody who's got a bit of arrogance, bit of attitude out there, plays full on, intensely, gives it his all. I really like what I see from Jack Grealish. So I agree with you there, Alex. Like, I'd love James Maddison. I'd love Jack Grealish. Plus, what I like about Jack Grealish is he's a little bit versatile. Like, you can play him in that sort of CAM role, but you can have him a bit deeper. You can have him out in a wide position, in a wing position, and he can do good stuff there too. So I think that would be a brilliant sign. That would be an absolute no-brainer. Thank you so much for getting here, the Rinconator. Michael Collins, thanks very much as well for your one, sir. He comments and says, Pig, do you think Phil Jones starts tomorrow? Oh no, this Phil Jones obsession has gone too far, lads and lasses in the live chat. The Phil Defence League, we've got to disband it. It's getting outrageous out there, people. Your defence of Phil Jones is crazy. No, fair enough. I mean, I know you guys love Phil Jones. In terms of actually having him around as a backup and a squad player, he can stay. He's a nice enough lad. For the games in the League Cup or whatever against the Kettering Towns of this world, it's handy to have a player like Phil Jones around. But starting games against Chelsea in top games in the Premier League or big fixtures, absolutely not, my friend. But I know some of you probably won't like that comment at all. JP, he loves the Phil Jones guy as well. Thank you so much for that, Michael Collins. Top man, get in here with your comments then, lads and lasses. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you think is going to be the result tomorrow. Let's have a cheeky little look. Oh, Gungshi comments, Alex Rudd will be loving this. Arsenal are winning 3-0. Are they really? Because last time I looked, it was 0-0. So let's have a look if... 90 minutes gone, Gungshi. Thanks very much for the update. Just to let you guys know, Arsenal are battering Newcastle now. 3-0, all second half goals. Aubameyang, Pepe and Ozil. Damn it, that is a bloody nightmare as well for Manchester United. We don't need another team challenging for us, because this was a big result for Arsenal too. Like, if they were 2 points down now, then they would be on 32 points, which is only actually 7 points above the drop, and is an absolute calamity for Arsenal, would put them into 11th place. Now, this win today, they're still having a nightmare, but now they're in 10th place, they're 34 points, which is 1 point behind Manchester United, I might add. We have got that game in hand tomorrow against Chelsea away, very tough game. Should you really expect to get the result in that game? I'm not so sure. I'm hoping that we will, but the fact is, look, how can you really defend? Look, how can you defend Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Manchester United if we are 9th come February 17th tomorrow if we lose against Chelsea, and we'll be 5 or 6 points off of the top 4? Champions League football will be looking very unlikely. We have spent a bit of money now in January. He has got his player. I know it's only one game or whatever we had the opportunity to see him. But this is a huge game for Solskjaer, man. It really, really is. The more I look at this league table, I just think, crikey, he is literally teetering on getting sacked right now. And I look at the long-term vision of the club. I don't think it's the right thing for United right now to just chop and change managers. People say, oh, get Pochettino and all this stuff. Fair enough, but it's just another chop and a change. We've seen that done over the years. It's not really worked out for us. I've seen some things from Ole which make me think he could be a great coach. I've also seen some things which makes me think he's a bit hard-headed and he's not going to change and all these things. But I'm giving him an opportunity. I said until the end of the season. And I really hope that he gets a result in this game tomorrow, because it would take a little bit of the pressure off. But the fact is, if we lose to Chelsea tomorrow, and you just look at the bare facts of, United being so far behind Liverpool, 41 points at this stage of the season, it's incredible, really. You look at the fact that we'd be in 9th place, 6 points off of the top 4. Actually, it'd be more than 6 points off of the top 4 if Chelsea win the game or they draw, because we're currently 6 points behind Chelsea now, and we've still got to play them. So we could be 9 points behind Chelsea and off the top 4, which is just an absolute deal breaker. It's a Champions League hope killer, that one, if we were to lose that game against Chelsea tomorrow. So that's it. I mean, if you look at the facts, if you look at how he's done and where we are in the league, if the Glazers and Ed Woodward sacked him the next day, it's hard to say that it wasn't justified. And look, I love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I want him to get to the end of the season regardless. I really do, because I don't think chopping and changing managers is going to help us much at this moment in time. But I could understand it, and that's what I'm saying, lads. It is obviously I don't want Ole to go. I know most people, I've done some polls recently on Twitter, and I've been berated on Twitter for my views on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in and all this stuff. And I know there's lots of people that want Ole out, but that if we lose to Chelsea, I could sort of understand if it happened, because United to be ninth, even with the squad we've had and the injury problems we've had, it's just unacceptable. That is unacceptable. Now, even the win only puts us up to 7th place, like we'd climb above Wolves again, and we'd still be behind Sheffield United, and it's not exactly amazing, it's not where we should be, but that would at least keep us in pace. It would certainly stop Chelsea from getting further ahead. So that's massively important for United this season. Thank you so much for getting in here and let me know that gungshi about the results and the scores and how the table's looking right now. Of course, Spurs did get that last gasp winner against Aston Villa today, which is absolutely gutting for me. And Henry Hotspur must be bloody absolutely loving it. Oh, Matty Rush, thank you so much, my friend, for getting in here with your super chat, lad. He says, we must win tomorrow, no excuses. Maddison depends on him signing a new deal with Leicester. We won't pay 90 million. Thank you so much, Matt. I agree with that one, mate. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think it'll be a little bit too much money for us. We'll see. I mean, you've got Paul Pogba probably going out in the summer for somewhere in that amount of money. I think you'd get in excess of 100 million for Pogba. How would we reinvest that? Grealish is what, like, I don't know, 50 or 60 million pounds worth of player. James Maddison's getting on for double that, really, in this current climate, and how important he is to Leicester, and the fact that they don't need to sell or want to sell. They sold Slabhead to us in the end after a year of speculation and negotiations for a whopping great amount of money. £80 million for a centre-back, for Slabhead, who's, not really lived up to that at all at the moment. It's early days, I hope that he will. But look, crikey, I don't think they're going to take anything less than a huge amount of money from Maddison right now. I agree with you, Matt. We've got to win tomorrow. I mean, no excuse. I mean, maybe there are some excuses, but I know what you're saying, though. I mean, the fact is, Lamps hasn't been able to strengthen his Chelsea side. We should have been able to strengthen in this January transfer window with the acquisitions and the players that we did get. We also signed a few players in the summer. Solskjaer's had a bit of time to work with them now. We've had good results against Chelsea this season, a couple of wins. That's got to give us some positive feeling going into the game that maybe we can do it. Thank you so much for that, Matt Rush. I think Grealish, though, like Alex Rincon said, I think Grealish is a real strong possibility of a player that we could sign. Another player I'd love to see come in would be Timo Werner, but it's not that realistic, as I said. I mean, it's looking less realistic depending on our league position, to be fair. We need Champions League football to attract the top quality players. All of the players that I've talked about, apart from Grealish, really, are sort of dependent on if we can get Champions League football next year, really. I mean, the ideal scenario to me, and I know some people would think this is crazy because he's so old compared to Pogba, but look, if you could get Pogba back to Juventus and get some sort of a swap deal in place for him with Ronaldo, and look, people say Ronaldo wouldn't want to come to this terrible United side which doesn't have the top players that it had the last time he was here, and he wants to be challenging for Champions Leagues and all this stuff to add to the medley that he's already got and compete for Ballon d'Ors. So yeah, he probably wouldn't come to United right now. But if United do get top four, if United do spend in the summer, do buy a couple of top players, you might just see possible a return for Cristiano Ronaldo if Pogba was to go in the other direction, which is feasible because he would want to go back there, probably to, based on what he did there last time. Thank you so much for that, Matt Rush. You're a bloody legend, mate. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Smash a cheeky little like on it, subscribe. I just want to read out a few statistics and stuff that I've picked out for the preview for the game tomorrow. Chelsea versus United. A few interesting talking points which I want to bring up now. If you know any, please do get them in here. There's about 80 of you legends tuned in right now, so thank you very much for stopping by on this Sunday night preview show. Right, okay. So these statistics that I've jotted down, they do make for interesting reading. So here's one for you. Chelsea have lost just one of their past 17 Premier League home games against Manchester United. They've won 10, drawn 6, lost 1. That's not good reading, is it? Chelsea obviously dominant at the Bridge against United. It is a bogey ground for us. Solskjaer's done well against Chelsea and Lamps this season in the fixtures we had against them. But the statistics do not lie. It's going to be a very difficult day at the office, I think, for United, because just look at that. We struggle at the Bridge. Chelsea have lost just one of their past 17 Premier League home games against Manchester United. Won 10, drawn 6, lost 1. United, who won 4-0 in the reverse fixture in August, are looking for their first league double over Chelsea since the 1987-88 season. So we did smash them up 4-0 first day of the season. Brilliant stuff. If we beat them again, it will be the first time we've done that since the 87-88 season. So it is unlikely, but that would be a very good scalp for us and Ole Gunnar, and that could actually really get our season back on track. And as I say, it would alleviate a little bit of the pressure on Ole's shoulders. Not all of it. Most people are still going to be Ole out come the end of that fixture, even if we win against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. But the fact is, if he wins it, it will alleviate the pressure. If he loses it, crikey, I mean, the fan backlash is going to be unreal. United have already won at Stamford Bridge this season, a 2-1 victory in the EFL Cup in October. So we've already done it in the Cup. I know it doesn't mean all that much. You know, I can't remember what squad we had out or what squad Chelsea had out. But look, Chelsea have got injury problems right now too. Tammy Abraham's a doubt, Pulisic. United have got all sorts of injury problems. Some of our key men, in fact, certainly in midfield, McTominay, Pogba and Rashford, all out. So, you know, I don't think either side is going to have their strongest team out. But on paper, I think maybe United's side that we're going to put out tomorrow does look a little bit stronger. Chelsea have won just one of their past 5 league matches. So they've won 1, they've drawn 3, and they've lost 1. So they're not in exactly great winning form. That would say that the likeliest result for this game would be a draw. But we'll see what happens. You know, their form in the last 5 league games, it's not been great. They've won more Premier League points in away matches than at Stamford Bridge during the current campaign. So they're better away from home. They've not been that great at home, which is great for United because United need to go on the road tomorrow and get a positive result. Chelsea have not got most of their points there. They've got them away from home. It's just a little interesting statistic. They've not been great at home. They've been melters at the bridge. Manchester United have lost 3 of their last 5 top-flight games, winning just 1 league fixture in 2020 so far. I mean, that's a disgusting statistic, to be fair. I mean, we've not played that many times in 2020, to be fair. But we've lost 3 of our last 5 top-flight games. So we're in some real shite form. Forget what I was saying about Chelsea and their 1 win and 3 draws and 1 loss. United are doing a shithouse compared. Only Crystal Palace have earned fewer Premier League points so far in 2020 than United's 4 points. Oh, that's filth! Don't you think? I mean, crikey, only Crystal Palace have earned fewer Premier League points so far in 2020 than United's 4. Ugh! Anyway, their overall tally of 35 points is their lowest after 25 matches of a top-flight season since 1989-1990. Oh, that's a long time ago, but we all know what happened in those days and what the catalyst was. So, you know, you can say maybe Ole would be justified to get sacked if, you know, considering the points tally's the lowest it's ever been in 30 years, and the fact that we would be in 9th position is a complete calamity right now. You can justify the sacking of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you really can. But at the same time, you can justify the sacking of Sir Alex Ferguson after a couple of seasons at United. And then look what happened. Okay, Solskjaer doesn't have the track record of taking a pretty bang average Scottish team like Aberdeen to the Scottish Premiership trophy and also win the bloody UEFA Cup with them, which is just freaking incredible. The fact that they are, a Scottish side, and that he was able to do that with such a small team. It goes to show you the level of management, whereas Solskjaer winning the league with Molde in the Norwegian league is not really the same level. Okay, if he'd won the Europa League with them, you'd have to say that was incredible. But, you know, so it's sort of not exactly apples for apples. But all I'm saying is, look, we change 2 managers too quickly in this day and age. Sometimes you could destroy something very, very special. If you look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and what he's trying to do at the club, it's not going to happen overnight. It's as simple as that. And we had to get rid of a lot of the deadwood. He's not really had the full backing of the board. I think we've only really seen it recently because of the fan outrage and the lack of investment in the squad. The Glazers and Woodward put their hands in their pockets. We got Bruno Fernandes. The midfield had injury problems. It was skeleton. So we had to do something. So it's all out of necessity again, just to sort of appease the fans. But if you look at his signings, if you look at his development of certain players, he's done a good job. If you look at the results and how we've been playing and the style and some of the awful results we've had against lesser teams, it's a calamity. It's way too inconsistent. But there are some signs there that if we were to stick with him and allow him the players to improve, that he would do better. I mean, the fact is I've been seeing lots of people say Jose Mourinho should have stayed at United now because he's got Spurs back up to 5th in the league now, and everyone's, you know, absolutely pulling off Jose Mourinho again now. I just think it's It's silly. He wasn't the right man for our future at United, no. Whereas Solskjaer's playing the long game. Solskjaer's getting these younger players in. Solskjaer's developing the youth. He's promoting youth players. Brandon Williams, Mason Greenwood, etc., etc. They're coming through. United is going to be a stronger position in a few years' time than we would have been, I think, with Jose Mourinho at the wheel. Because what Jose Mourinho does is sign big-name players, get the club in a little bit of a state, and then we've got to deal with. That's actually what happened. I mean, you can say Woodward did it and Woodward did sanction these deals, but you know Jose was like, well, I need Alexis Sanchez. I don't care what we have to pay for him. I've got to have Alexis Sanchez. He's getting the best players, and it still wasn't good enough. So I just think people need to just give him a bit more time, even if they do lose tomorrow. Look, we'll be ninth. It'll be a calamity. But you've got to look at the long picture. I mean, it sounds crazy for me to say that with United being in ninth, but I would still give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to the end of the season. Crazy? I know. Okay then, so let's get into your comments then, lads and lasses. Sorry I've been rambling on. I just wanted to get all those statistics out for you there. You're a bunch of bloody legends for tuning in. Thank you so much for stopping by here. Let's get into your comments then and see what you people think about everything we've discussed in this video. Rincon! Thank you, mate. He's got in here with another super chat. This one has triggered him. The fact that I was just talking about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's future there. He says, give Ollie time for F's sake. Give him one more window to bring in Grealish/Maddison, Sancho and a new centre-back. If we're still crap, then yes, sack him. Our fans are too impatient. LVG was right. I think you make a great comment there, Rincon. Our fans are way too impatient. I mean, I see it from both sides. Like, if United are in ninth and Ollie's not got us playing the best stuff and we're losing to teams like, West Ham and just having a nightmare in certain key games, I can understand it because people are impatient. They do think that maybe the manager is the biggest problem at the club because he's the one who's getting the players that they've got to perform out there on the pitch. But there's other factors, the owners and the lack of backing and the injuries we've had this season and the skeleton squad we had to begin with. Herrera leaving, huge loss for us. Sanchez leaving, Lukaku leaving. We didn't replace these players at the start of the season. It didn't make it easy for Ollie. He didn't have the players. I agree with you. He needs players. He needs to sign those players. If you'd given him Sancho and you'd given him Grealish, then let's see what he can do, because the fact is at the start of the season, compare United's squad, compare it with the other top 4 teams or whatever that are vying for those spaces. It's not as good as those squads, I don't think. I really don't think, because we didn't have the cover there. We didn't have that striking option up top there. We didn't have that proven goal scorer, really, like a lot of the other clubs do up there. So it was always going to be a little bit in doubt this season. We were always going to have everything go our way. We were going to have to keep players fit, which you can't expect to do that over the course of the season. Pogba's a massive loss, McTominay's a massive loss, Rashford's a massive loss. We haven't got the depth to deal with that, and that is really on the lack of investment in recent times. We've had to do it in January because people were, bombing Ed Woodward's house and shit like that. So that's why we saw us dip in a little bit in the January window. But come on, it was obvious that we needed a midfielder. It was obvious that Bruno was the man. So it was no surprise that we made that happen. But we still had a skeleton squad at the start of the season and should have had a lot more time. And if he did have a Sancho, if he did have these top players and we were ninth and not performing right now, then fair enough, you can say get him sacked. But I agree, Alex, he hasn't had the most help from the owners. He hasn't had the most help from the team we've got. Remember as well, there's certain influences in that team that he doesn't want there, that are still there, that he's tried to get rid of. We got rid of Sanchez and Lukaku and these guys, but who knows if he even really wants Paul Pogba around at the football club? Who really knows? Maybe he'd prefer to get rid and get the money and sign a player that he thinks is more appropriate for the job. Because in terms of motivation and actual passion out there, you don't see all that much, or certainly not that often from Paul Pogba, and he's a massive player for us. So if you'd had a suitable replacement, like Bruno Fernandes now, maybe we sign Ndidi and Sancho, like you say, or Werner, or whatever, then that gives Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the tools to really challenge in the top 3. Because if you look at Spurs' squad is way better than United's. I mean, just look at Son Heung-min. He's one of the best players in the world. He really is. Harry Kane, one of the best players in the world. They've added to their ranks this season, the Lo Celsos of this world and stuff. They've done very well, Spurs, and they've got a great squad, and they've built that up over the years, to be fair, and they've not spent all that much money, but they have actually got a really great squad, much better than United's. Liverpool's just streets ahead of anyone, way better than United's at the moment. Man City, same goes for them. Hopefully they'll lose a few players in the summer if they don't want to stick around. You might see Raheem Sterling jumping ship, going back to bloody Liverpool or whatnot, I don't know. But Certainly, they've got a stronger squad than us currently. Chelsea, I wouldn't say that they have. I'd say that they're on a sort of par, or maybe even suffering a little bit now that they lost Hazard and they haven't been able to sign players. I think they probably don't have as good a squad as us. So Lampard's overachieving. Why is that okay? And it's not okay, and it's okay for, Solskjaer to underachieve. I look at it both ways now, Alex. I hear you, mate. Like, I really do want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to stick around and get another window, but he's going to have to finish in, at least the top 5 or 6, I think. Maybe we just narrowly miss out on Champions League football, whatever. Have a decent couple of cup runs in the Europa League, FA Cup, and that will keep him his job. But I think if he doesn't finish in the top 6, and we don't have a decent cup run, I really, really don't think he's going to keep his job, Alex, at the end of the season. I think we will make a change. I think the board will make a change. He's got the opportunity to prove it. He can silence the critics. He can silence the doubters. He's got his midfield maestro now, hopefully in Bruno Fernandes to create. And he's got all sorts of options up there now. We can play Marcia up top. You can play Igalo. You can play Greenwood up there. So, he's going to have to get these lads performing. That's the fact of the matter. If we beat Chelsea, that puts us right on the right road. Thank you so much there, the Rinconator, for getting your views in. And I must say, in general, I agree. I think Ollie needs more time. He needs more players. We need to improve the squad. If it doesn't work out, then you get another manager, and he's got players like Sancho and players like Grealish and these great players to develop and play with it. And you'd have to say, even if it does end in absolute tears for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at United, he would have done a lot for this football club. I mean that. Even if he finished 14th and got sacked at the end of the season, he would have done a lot for this football club, because he came in to steady the ship after Jose, did us well, got us on a nice little Champions League run and whatever, beat PSG. There were some moments along the way which have been really well celebrated. Plus, just look at what the foundations that he's laid at this football club now. Players like Williams, players like Greenwood, they were nowhere. Wan-Bissaka signing by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, future United right back and England right back for the next 10 years. Come on, it's brilliant signing, masterstroke. Harry Maguire, same goes for him. He's going to be a stalwart for England and United for the next 8 years or something. Then you've got Daniel James, 21, flying winger. One for now, one for the future. Amazing prospect. Great signing. Bruno Fernandes, he can be the cog in that midfield, ticking things over and creating for United and scoring free kicks and having an influence in a positive way for the team for the next 5 or 6 years. So look, he's signed players, he's developed players, he's brought Williams and Greenwood through, he's signed all these players that are not just here for now, that are not like Jose Mourinho quick fix signings. They're ones that are going to develop and grow into a really great team. They really are. This team in 3 years, I tell you, if we don't sign anybody, in 3 years' time, with the right coaching and the right development, it's going to be one of the best. Spurs did it the right way over the years. They've developed their great players coming through the ranks. You think about how they've done it, that's how United need to do it. You've got to plant these seeds and wait for them to turn into plants. Daniel Adjar, how you doing, Daniel? Comments, get Grealish and Sancho. Yeah, those two players would solve all sorts of problems, to be fair, because I was talking about Dan James, but he's not up to the level of Sancho. If you look at Sancho's younger, he's 19, he's over in the Bundes, he's got as many goals and assists as bloody appearances this season. The guy's an absolute animal. He's doing all sorts of bits over there in the Bundes. I'd love to see him in a United shirt, even if he's been an ex-City scummer in the past. That's how bloody good he is. So I would love to see Jadon Sancho come back to Manchester and play for the red side of Manchester, and play for United, and be that all-encompassing, goal-scoring, creative entity out there on the right for us. That'd be amazing. Like, that's what we need to do. But we need Champions League football in order to do that. I really, truly believe that, because he's going to have so many options. Every single football club in the world is going to be coming in for Jadon Sancho in the summer, if he's available. I'm not even sure if Man City have, like, some sort of a first option to maybe buy back Jadon Sancho. So, look, United have got, well, it depends what sanctions are in place from the FA, hopefully a lot. But look, United need to sign some top players. Sancho would fit that bill. I agree with you, my friend. Thanks for getting in here. Yo, boom chakalaka, everybody. Smash a cheeky little like on it. I'm going to stick around for 5 more minutes now, so get your thoughts and opinions in here at the end. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for watching me and literally listening to me ramble absolute codshite for the last however long, because that's all we really do on this channel. You know, we turn the camera on, we talk codshite about United. It's what I like to do. I'm just glad that there's a few people out there that also like to tune in and listen and get involved in the live chat. It's a great bloody community in this live chat as well. Like, there was a bunch of people tuning in early, the likes of the Saint JP, Illy United, Michael Collins, these guys that tune in early just to have a chat with each other. The community is absolutely fantastic. Also, check out the Telegram app if you guys want to sort of speak to each other and talk about anything pig and hen related offline. Just to give you an update on Henry Hotspur, actually, he is now over in Thailand. He stayed a night in Bangkok. Now I think he's in Pattaya now. He's staying near Pattaya Beach, so I think he's having an absolutely great time out there. Early on, the travelling was fine. There's no signs of coronavirus yet. Obviously, time will tell. Like, he has had to travel and share space and breathing space with other people in an airport, on a plane and things like that over in Asia. So we shall see. The Rinconator, thank you, top man, says, join the Flying Pig United group chat on Telegram. He's put a link. There is the link. By the way, Rincon, if you are still around tomorrow, let me know. Me and Rincon may be doing a preview of the game tomorrow. Just, obviously before the Chelsea game's on. It's on at 8 o'clock, sometime in the afternoon or whenever, really. We'll jump on, have a little chat about United's chances and stuff like that. So if he's available, let me know. Peter Lyon, thank you very much. He says, love the channel. I think you're out there in Thailand as well, aren't you, Peter? So maybe you'll see the hen lurking around the gaff soon. Do you know what I mean? If you see a South Korean gentleman with a Spurs shirt on, go and give him a slap, would you? Anyway, thank you very much, Peter Lyon, top man, for getting in here. He says, I live in Pattaya. No way. Well, you might actually be seeing him then, Peter. Straight up. And what I would say to you is, give him a cheeky little tweet and say, all right, Hen, where are you? But the fact is, he doesn't check Twitter, does he? Do you know what I mean? He barely replies to me. Alex Ringo says, I'll be around. I'm off work tomorrow. Top man. Nice one. It's a rarity you're off work these days, the Rinconator. He's over there doing bits in his new job, man. He's been so busy. He's always getting in here, though, just to pop in and say hello. So thank you for the commitment, Alex. Great to know you'll be around tomorrow. Let's do a video, my friend. Wengie Simmons comments, Ollie did not want Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, James or Bruno. These are Ed Woodward signings. Oh, come on now, Wengie. How do you know that? How could you possibly know that? Ed Woodward, I don't think he's got the football acumen to pick a talent like a Bissaka or a James or a Bruno. To be perfectly honest with you, I think it is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wanting these types of players. You can't just buy players for a manager and say, by the way, you don't really want him. Well, you've not told us you want him, but here you go. Here's an £80 million slabhead centre-back. It doesn't work like that. I mean, maybe with some of the very best players in the world, like the club might just go out, like Napoli did when they bought Maradona back in the day. Not that many of you would probably remember that. I wasn't even alive at the time. But I do know a little bit about football history, and he was such a big player. It's like you obviously get that player, he's always going to sort of manage the side and drag you on himself. But I don't see that being the case with any of those other players. I do think Solskjaer wanted all of them and probably signed off on all of them. I'm sure Ed Woodward and the scouting network and everything, they may have come to Ollie and said, look at Aaron Wan-Bissaka, look at what he's done for Crystal Palace. I'm sure Ollie was aware of him anyway. Here are the statistics, here are his tackles, the stats don't lie, look at his age, let's sign him up. What do you think, Ollie? Do you want him? And he's gone, yes. Maybe, because we do have a whole scouting network and you can't expect Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to be the only man who's actually bringing in and developing a scouting players and stuff like that. So of course we've got this whole network, but I know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would have had an impact in it, or an involvement in it for sure. Rachel Manchester comments, tomorrow is going to be the end of Ollie. Well, Rachel, I'm feeling pessimistic. If United lose the game, we'll be ninth. We'll be on the lowest points tally we've had since 1989-90 season. At this stage of the season, we already are. In fact, the stats don't really lie. He would be in the line, and certainly, one of the favourites to be getting sacked out of the managers in the Premier League at the moment. And if he did get the chop, and we appointed Pochettino, I could sort of understand it, and I could say that the Glazers and Woodward are almost justified to do it because he is ninth. But at the same time, I would be very sad personally. I would be disappointed because I think we could do some stuff next season with how he's developed the youth and the signings he's made. Give him another window, give him more players. Like Rincon says, who knows what he could do. Everyone's too quick to sack managers these days. I miss the days when you get a good few years as a manager to see what you can do. Fergie was afforded a lot of time and money and belief, and we all know how that one turned out. Now, it doesn't happen in modern day football. I know it's a totally different time and an age, but you never know. You could be destroying something very special here. Certainly in the big games, you look at how the players play for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and how they work in the big games and the results we've had in the big games. I think that does bode well for United and our future. But in terms of what we're actually doing in over consistency this season, it's just not good enough. And it's hard to defend somebody if they're not playing the best style of football after a year in the job and they're ninth in the table with United. Like, even if we hadn't assigned any players this season, I would have still expected us to be higher than ninth in the table with the squad that we had. So come on, you've got to be a realist at the same time and say that he's not blowing us out the water. He's not really blowing us away. I think he's just doing about the bare minimum, a satisfactory job, just about to keep his position at the moment, and that's only because United's expectations are so much lower than the last few seasons, which is a sad thing to say, but it's also true. To be brutally honest, like, if he got sacked, it wouldn't surprise me. Thank you so much for your question or your comment there, Rachel. Jarvis Cocker with a cheapy little super chat. Thank you so much, Jarvis. He says, what's your thoughts about the City cheaters? Thank you for getting in here, Jarvis. Well, you can actually check my last couple of videos. I did a little skit with my missus. By the way, there's a new series, if you want to call it that. We've had a few episodes, but me and my missus are going to do the, it's called Mr. and Mrs. Pig. Every now and then, whenever there's something we can just do a little jokey video about, or a skit or something, we're going to do that. So you may have seen that. If not, check out my other video as well, the Man City banned for 2 years from the Champions League video, where I get my thoughts and opinions out, and you can listen to what I've got to say on that one, Jarvis. But just to give you a quick summary, I think it's bloody amazing, lad. Screw City, cheating bastards, been doing it for years. But you've got to live within your means. It totally destroys football if you allow, Kettering Town, I use them as an example because they're just a tiny shit club, aren't they? But Kettering Town, if you just allow them £1 billion and they're going to get right up there and challenge, in one way it's fair, in one way it's open, but in another way it kind of destroys the history and the traditions of the Premier League or of the English Football League if you just allow that to happen, because there's been football clubs that have been built up on over the years out of success, and you like United, and we're being overshadowed now and outspent by the likes of Chelsea, likes of City, and it is kind of wrong, because although they have great clubs with great history, nowhere near as great as Manchester United are they, let's be honest now, in terms of success, or just in terms of the history, the adversity we've overcome, all these sorts of things make United a very special football club. And those clubs, although they're great clubs, they don't really deserve to be up there just because they spent more money than us, just because they've had a rich oil baron come in or whoever and pump shitloads of money into the club, which makes our plight more difficult. And a lot of people would say we're overly hypocritical here, because United have spent lots of money over the years. Fergie came in, we spent loads of money to get back to where we ended up and all this stuff. It's true, but United's always been based on a following. It's been based on support. It's been based on this global audience that we have built up over the years, and it wasn't always that way, obviously, but certainly back in the day the local support was massive. It was a loved club around the country, and Manchester United has always been a huge club, whereas City, they're not a huge club. They don't have the fan base, they don't have the following. That's why they've got an empty-had stadium most weeks. It's bloody empty, because they don't have the following. They can't justify their earnings with their income. If you look at United right now, we're sucking money out of the club with the Glazers taking money out, and we're still able to compete in the transfer market and stuff with most clubs anyway. Not those types of money-grabbing clubs, though, but certainly most clubs. And that's down to United having that successful branding over the years and building something special. Whereas City and Chelsea, I don't think they really had that. I think City completely they spent shitloads more money than what they've earned over the years. It's not right, really, because it stops the other clubs having a fair playing field to be able to progress, and who actually do follow the financial fair play rules. Fair enough, if there's no financial fair play rules there, then let them spend if that's what you want to do. But there is rules there, and they've ignored them. They've also put money from their other companies into Manchester City to try and justify some of the figures, some of the spend, all that sort of stuff. There's lots of smoke and mirrors, there's lots of backhanders, there's lots of dodgy stuff going on behind the scenes. And it's pretty much, it is money laundering what they're doing. They're sort of recycling money through one business into another to try and make the books Spanish. To basically cook in the books is what they're doing. So I think it's fantastic that they've been found out. I think they should get a ban from the Premier League. I think they should get they've got the 2-year Champions League ban, but maybe they should get a points deduction, a 10 or a 15 point deduction starting next season. It's justified, man. They cheated. Look, I think it's a bit much to go back and strip their old title. Like when Manchester United in 2018 finished second behind City, and that was a decent achievement at the time. A lot of people are saying maybe they could have that sort of rescinded and Manchester United would become the champions of the league that year, like in the history books, which would be absolutely bloody amazing. But at the same time, I just don't really think it's that right on the players that have won the title, because they don't have any knowledge or idea about all the financial stuff that's going on behind the scenes. Even the manager and stuff like that, to an extent, they don't really have an idea of what's going on behind the scenes financially and what foul plays at hand there. But I could, if it did happen, I would obviously be over the moon about that. But, I just want to see, from this moment on, United, City, I want to see it back to how it should be, which is United being able to compete in those regards, and City not just going out there and spending way more money than they've actually got coming in. Just to answer your question there anyway, but watch the video. There's too much to discuss in this video here. We're wrapping this one up. The Saint comments, Stephen Hayes, the ground empty for Rugby 2. Times have changed. Fair play. Spike Blighty says, people shelter from the storm, Dennis, under Klopp's teeth. Crikey, get in there. Do you know what I mean? That would definitely provide some shelter from the storm, that place. Crikey. Seriously, who is Klopp's dentist, though? That guy needs a raise. Illa United says 30 years. You're 30 years, not United. So I don't know what we're talking about here, but certainly the fact Liverpool haven't won the league for 30 years. They're going to win the league this year. What can you say? Jarvis Cocker says City should be relegated and deprived all titles and prize money. Also pay compensation to all affected parties, runners-up, relegated teams and sacked managers, etc. Well, that's the extreme stance to take on it, and that's the one that all United fans would want to happen, of course. I don't think that's going to happen. City will wrap it up in legal tape for a while. They'll appeal. They'll probably have their Champions League ban reduced to a year. United, what we can hope that City are on the decline, but chances are they'll keep hold of most of their players, and they probably will still be challenging up in the top 4. I think a points deduction could happen, actually. I really do think a points deduction could happen. Plus, it depends. If Pep Guardiola goes, crikey, you could see a mass exodus at City. You could see all sorts of players leaving. If Pep goes, you could see all sorts of stuff happening, which is why I think Man City will do their absolute most at this moment in time to keep Pep Guardiola. I really think they'll try and keep him for at least another couple of seasons, even with the ban. Matt Rush comments, well said, Mrs. Pig. Oh, the missus is in here. Shout out to the missus. She says, great video, Mr. P. Thank you very much. She's in the other room right now with her daughter, Amelia. Shout out to you both if you're watching. Thank you for stopping by in here. Smash a cheeky little like on this video if you are stopping by, lads and lasses. 50 minutes we've been going now, so I am going to have to wrap this video up at the moment. But, appreciate everybody stopping by. Actually, I'll just read a couple more comments out. Why not? Stephen Zevon says, these teeth jokes don't even make sense, lads. Devil of Reb says, Crip Klopp has got a bite on the Premier League. With those gnashers, he could get a bite on anything. Yeah, I sort of see what you mean there, Stephen Zevon. Gungshi says, honestly, Pig, a billionaire owner could buy Sunderland or Norwich and have the same success as City. That's what we're talking about here, Gungers. I totally agree with you, mate. Like, that is why it's wrong. That's why you should have to only spend what you can earn. Because some say, it keeps the poor poor, it keeps the rich rich. It's true to an extent, but the rich have got rich in football because of the success and hard work that's been put in and the history and the tradition. And the following. The fact is, United, Manchester, it's a huge city. Of course, they've had a huge following over the years. They've got more commercial input just in those terms than, Luton Town or whoever. Because they're just a bigger metropolitan area with a bigger following and a really passionate supporters. Just like Liverpool is. Liverpool have got 2 clubs as well, hugely supported clubs. And certainly, Gunshi, like if somebody bought Everton and pumped the amount of money into it that City have and Chelsea have over the years, they would be right up there too. And some of the lesser clubs that you said as well. That's why it's wrong. Because what you have to remember is, United have worked over the years and succeeded to get to where we are. It's wrong to just come in, have a sugar daddy, pump billions into a football club, turn Kettering Town into the next Man City, and all of a sudden, all those teams like Everton, like the Aston Villas of this world, whoever, have been working away over the years, trying to do things the right way, trying to get back up there to the top, and their plight is made even more difficult because of this money banks elite club that have just come in there and spent a ridiculous amount of money to buy their way to the title. It's totally wrong. That's all City have ever done, to be honest with you, lads and lasses. They've bought their way to the title. And United used to get criticised for spending heavy. We earned all that money. We earned it all. It was all commercially earned from the fan base globally and the fans and attending in the stadium, which was the biggest stadium, and all this sort of stuff, so we've fallen by the wayside. The Glazers have mismanaged this football club. Honestly, they really have. But the fact is, City don't deserve to be where they are. They haven't had the rich history that United have had in modern times. They don't deserve it. They've just come in, spent money, and got themselves a quick fix. And there you go. And I tweeted it out the other day, and I meant it as a bit tongue-in-cheek, really, because, I just trying to diss City fans, really. But I said the financial fair play rules they're also there to protect a football club from from overstretching themselves and going out of business or having a really negative effect on their futures. That's what it's actually there for as well. It's not just there to keep the playing field level. It's also there to protect the future of a football club. You've seen it in the past. Portsmouth, when Harry Redknapp was there, they're spending money, hundreds of thousands of wages weekly on players, and they couldn't live within their means. Fair enough, if you get them up there and you turn them into a new Man City and they're achieving and they're performing, then maybe then you can sustain it. Or you've got just the sheer amount of money like City's owners do, where you can just throw money at it, and even if you lose for a while like they did, eventually it's going to come good, and eventually you can build that special team. Whereas at Portsmouth, it didn't happen. Now look at Portsmouth. Look at Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough back in the day, where they signed all those players, the Ravanellis and the Janinios and all these guys. They spent a fortune. Didn't help them out either. Long-term sustenance for a football team should be very, very important. And I know it's unlikely that Sheikh Mansour or whatever would leave them in a bad situation. And if they did sell up, say, then I'm sure the new owners would put them in a healthy situation. But there's a possibility that if Sheikh Mansour just got bored and did want out and did sell it to whoever, that Man City wouldn't be able to live within their means then. Because the commercial input or the commercial draw that they've got doesn't justify their spend. The amount that they spend is way more than what's actually organically, naturally coming into the club. Like, forget about all these Etihad Airway deals and this revolving door they have, recycling money and laundering money from different companies into City. Forget all that. Just your organic commercial draw. Man, it doesn't even compare with United or Liverpool. It doesn't even compare. City is a tiny club in comparison. In all honesty, from a global point of view, from a commercial point of view, they can't justify it. So it's to protect them as well. It's to protect football teams from going out of business. I think it's an important point. Thank you, Matt Rush, for saying it's a great show, mate. You're a top man. There's almost 100 of you legends tuning in this Sunday evening. Please smash a cheeky little like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Please give it a share. You can also watch some of the recent videos we've done on the channel. I did a little skit with my missus, Mr. and Mrs. Pig episode yesterday. One before that was just a little bit more of an in-depth chat and reaction to the news that Man City were banned from the Champions League for 2 years. Check that one out if you've not seen it as well. Stephen Seven says, was Liverpool and United started organically? They were the biggest cities at the time. So yeah, I mean, there you go. I mean, obviously it does stand to reason if you've got a big support of a city, it's only going to help you out. Look at Newcastle United. Newcastle United has a ridiculously loyal fan base and following, and a large following. You know, they were filling out St. James's Park in the Championship and stuff like that. They've got a loyal fan base. And if they actually had a big owner, or an owner that was prepared to spend money, Newcastle United, they could be right up there. I mean, they nearly did it back in the 90s when Kevin Keegan was there, and they were throwing a lot of money at it then. And they had bought Shearer and stuff like that, and they assembled a really great team. They nearly did it then. That's what we're talking about here. Like, you could do that with a club like Newcastle United, and you could almost sustain it if you got up there and you won a couple of things like City. The following's there, really. You know, everybody knows about Newcastle United around the world. They may not be this team that has won a shitload of things, but they're certainly a big English football team, you know, and at the moment they're a shadow of what they should be. Same goes for Villa, same goes for Everton, although Everton have got a really good manager now and probably will be doing a lot better. But teams like that, I think of Everton, Newcastle, Villa as top 10 English sides. I really, really do. The Cop 1994 says 9th in the league. I mean, this is the thing. We're 9th in the league right now. If we don't beat Chelsea tomorrow, if we beat Chelsea, we'll go 7th. If we don't, we're going to be in 9th. It's the lowest points tally since 89-90 season. What can you say, eh? What can you say? Sparkle Gamer says, if they take points off City for the 13-14 season and hand the title to Liverpool, Sterling will get another EPL winners' medal. Crikey, we don't want that. But anyway, you bring up an interesting point. Do you think that's going to happen, lads and lasses? Like, do you think there will be, you know, basically the deletion of Manchester City's achievements within the Premier League since that whole financial fair play thing came in, since that time period we're talking about there? Will that actually happen? Will there be a deletion of City's achievements, and will they then be awarded to the teams that finished second in those competitions? I think you bring up a very interesting point. I'd bloody love it. I'd bloody love it, because obviously United and Jose Mourinho would have actually lifted the trophy in 2018 if that's the case. We'll see. I think what's more likely to happen is they'll just get a points deduction. They may get a transfer ban. That's all I really see happen. I think maybe they'll start the next season with a 15-point deduction or a 10-point deduction or something like that. The Saint comments, financial fair play protects the elite. It also protects the smaller clubs, though, the Saint, like I said a minute ago, because if somebody wants to come in, just on a whim, a billionaire, throw money at a football club, try and make it happen overnight, it doesn't work, maybe the books aren't balancing, so they get out. And then they leave that football club in a much worse position than before they had it. So it's not just to keep the elite, it's also to protect just the average club from being mismanaged to the point of extinction. And you've seen it with that twat who bought Bury Football Club and stuff like that. I mean, okay, that's not the same, they won't throw money at it, but, you know. Anyway, okay, Mrs. Pig says, come and put these curtains up, Mr. P. Crikey. Okay, lads and lasses, I'm going to wrap this video up now because we've been going for nearly an hour. But I do want to say I really appreciate everybody who's tuned in tonight on a random Sunday evening here for the preview for the Chelsea game. My prediction, if you missed it earlier on in the video, I think United are going to win 1-0 with a Bruno Fernandes free kick. Come on, my son, get in there, have some belief, have some faith. Although the recent form and how the season's gone would suggest that maybe Chelsea should be the favourites for a reason right now. United have looked shocking recently. Huge game for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. A win would be massive. It really takes a lot of the pressure off. Well, it would put us in 7th. There's still pressure every single game, but a loss, crikey, he may well get sacked. I'm not even being funny. The fans would be outraged. He may well get sacked. That's all I'm saying. Hopefully not. Hopefully the Glazers and Woodward will give him to the end of the season anyway. I think he deserves it. This one game against Chelsea, I mean, away at Stamford Bridge, it's just a tough game any time, any season, isn't it? Right, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much. Alex comments and says, like the video before you leave. Please do smash a like on it. Thank you very much, Gungers. He says, get your overalls on, Pig. There's housework to be done. Got to do those Sunday chores now, Gungers, eh? You will all be glad to know that I did get out of the shopping trip today, though. Come on, my son. Due to Storm Dennis, we decided it was, not worth going out in it. Nice one, Matt Rush. Thank you so much. Few shout-outs at the end here. Rincon, JP, Pepper Red, Matt Rush, Spike Blighty, Stephen Hayes, Gungshi, JP, Michael Collins, Viking Red, Farn141, Jarvis Cocker, Michael Collins, I've already said you, but either way, thanks so much for getting in here, everybody. Viking Red, thanks so much for stopping by. Remember, there's a watch-along tomorrow night, Chelsea versus Manchester United. Make sure you tune in. I'll give you my reactions and commentary for the game. If you're able to watch it with me, please do, or even if you can't watch it, come in and find out what's going on. I'm going to leave it there. Have a great evening. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you tomorrow on the channel. Leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Please give it a share on social media if you're that way inclined. You can have a look at the Patreon page in the link in the description here, and shout out to the Patreons or the patrons, legends at the end here that do support the channel. Here we go. This is the Pig on Flying Pig United. Take it easy, stay classy, and come on United against the Scummy Blues. Oh yeah, that's it. Come on, buzzed up for this one now. Oh, I've just absolutely riled myself up. Get me in that dressing room. Get me in that dressing room, lads and lasses, and let me unleash some sort of carnage and get the lads fired up. Can we make it happen? Anyway, thanks for tuning in, lads and lasses. I'll see you soon. Shout out to you all at the end here in the chat for making the chat so vibrant tonight, and it's been great. You're all a bunch of legends. You know who you are. Shout out to the patrons here. The names you can see rolling down your screen are the special legends that do support the channel on Patreon as well. So there is a link in the description there. This channel's free. You don't need to do that, but it's there if you do want to support the channel. Thank you so much to everyone that tunes in. And also Sev the Panda. Sorry to Sev the Panda. You will be added to this list for the next video. I guarantee it. Anyway, I'll see you very, very soon. Take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your evening. See you tomorrow for the game. Come on, United. We're going to smash them up.